questions to ask throughout a campaign with the confidence rising. I told WDF don't switch, good times are coming on even deep diving. Fan cams, reactions, watch alongs to the pride of London thriving. The Eagles of South they flying, keep your eyes on us, we ain't hiding.
Yes guys, welcome back to Transfer Weekly episode 11, the show where I tell you about all the rumours and potential transfers that are going in and out of Crystal Palace in this summer window. Please remember to check out the shorts as we post daily, but we haven't really been posting daily because we've got a lot of stuff going on. But be sure that we will be back on it as soon as we all have the time. In today's episode, we've got a potential, or not even a potential anymore, a player leaving us. It's just been confirmed about an hour ago, maybe 2 hours ago, and looking at some striking replacements. Unfortunately, I don't have time to cover another winger to replace the player that is leaving. Be assured that next video will have a player like that. Obviously, bit of a depressing episode today as of the news we've just heard, but yeah, let's get straight into it. Matheus Nascimento, the 19-year-old striker that currently plays for Botafogo, is also from a club that is owned by John Textor. As John and Dougie were finalising the deal with Matheus França, at a dinner, him and Nascimento were both there. This is due to a programme that John Textor's just started up, and Nascimento was his first trial, sort of where he takes them to around all of his other clubs in other countries, such as us, Lyon, and Molenbeek. So he's sort of showing them what it's like to play football in other countries. And also, while this happened, he took him to the Crystal Palace versus Lyon game. This is where Crystal Palace won 2-0. And it was a pretty good day for us, a good display of performances. And Matheus França was unveiled at halftime on that day. Ever since Textor's taken over at Botafogo, we seem to have rumours with Nascimento, maybe him coming on loan, maybe him coming on a permanent, but it's never seemed to materialise. However, because of previous interest from us, I feel like we've got a good chance of securing his signature. The only reason why we are starting to be more serious with this transfer now is because Nottingham Forest, who are also a Premier League rival Crystal Palace, have submitted a £15 million bid for the player. I think that because we have been linked to him so long, and John and Dougie have both had dinner with him and spoke to him multiple times, there's probably been some conversations to say, or revolving around a transfer to Crystal Palace. So I'm sure that the groundwork is already there. It's just the fact of we need to match that offer so John Textor can make the transfer happen. I'm sure that he'd rather keep a talent like him within his multi-club model. If he has a decent enough career at Crystal Palace and he's sold on, he's probably going to be worth double, maybe even triple the amount because of how young he is. He's Brazilian. And if he does well in the Premier League, you've got Premier League tax, you can demand Premier League money for that kind of player. So I'm sure that we will revisit this, and potentially all that money that we could get for him in the future could be reinvested, buy low, sell high. And, if that's what's going to happen and that's what we're striving towards, we need to start somewhere. As a player, let's get into some stats. With 5 starts in 18 total appearances in all competition in this current year of football, he scored 3 goals and got 1 assist. In the Under-20s World Cup, he had 0 starts but 3 appearances, scored 1 goal and got 0 assists. He has 2 shots per game and only 0.7 of those are on target. 2 missed big chances, 0 big chances created, 0.7 key passes made per 90, 96% pass accuracy, but that is in the whole of the World Cup. And remember, he only played in 3 games, and that is an average of 7.7 passes per game, which isn't really that much, so it's pretty unfair to have that high of a percentage and go off of it. He only had a 31-minute average time on the pitch per game as well, so he didn't really get that long of a run, even in the World Cup, and currently not at Botafogo either. Obviously, wins possession 1 time per 90, which shows that he's a different kind of striker who does like to press from the front. He's very fast and technical with the ball, and he's pretty good defensively as well. He's good at reading and intercepting the ball. Also, he has got 2 yellow cards. Obviously, the 2 yellows are just for him tracking down the ball and hunting for it and hoping for the best, trying to win the ball back for his team. Also, we need to remember we are Crystal Palace and we love an injury-prone player, and Nascimento is no different. If we have a look here, the injuries, he's been injured for 39 days in this year alone. I think that this would be a huge risk for us to go for him because £15 million, let's be real, it's not cheap for a player like him. He is 19, so he's got a long way to go. But the last game he played in was at the 11th of June against Fortaleza. But, you know, he's that different kind of striker. We need, obviously, Edouard is playing really well at the start of this season. And JP just hasn't got a look in. He's definitely better than JP just after what you can see on the internet and after speaking to some Brazilian fans, such as Glorious Botafogo. I'd highly suggest going and looking at his channel because he does like to do Botafogo content in English as well as in Brazilian. So it's good to go and watch and find out more about Nascimento over there. But he is a different kind of striker. He can make his own chances. He can play on the wing if he needs to. He can pull out wide and dribble with the ball. And he can make his own 1v1 situations. And he's actually very good at it. He's not really that there with finishing as of yet, but he's only 19. That will come with time. Obviously, his contract runs out in December 2025. So if Fogo really want to make any money from him, they have to either sell him now or in January, because if not, he could be priced even further down and maybe even go for a free. Obviously, if you've seen some of our videos, Dan is not impressed because he doesn't seem to enjoy how he plays very much. But if I'm honest, I think Nascimento will be a good signing for us. 50 million is always a huge risk for someone that young, but we've just spent 25 million on Matheus França. They're both 19. They're both Brazilian. We don't have any other Brazilians in our club or anyone that can speak Brazilian. So it'll be good for both of them to have someone that they can relate to and speak to in their home language. And, you know, with it being so young and some other players that we're looking at being even younger potentially, we're looking to be building a very exciting young forward line. And, you know, if they can stay together and they start performing in the Premier League, this could be worth a lot of money. And hopefully it could be very exciting to watch. Let's go to the next one. 27-year-old Scottish striker that currently plays for Southampton, Che Adams. He's been there since 2019 and he's been a pretty regular starter for them in the Premier League. He's played lots of Premier League games. He's played a lot of games in the Championship for teams like Birmingham. Speaking to one guy I work with who's a Brighton fan, unfortunately. But he said that Che Adams is probably one of the best strikers he's ever seen in the Championship. Absolutely destroyed them. And, you know, if he can do that to Brighton in the Championship, then why can't he help us do that to them in the Premier League? Because they are so clear of us right now that all these transfer weeklies, I really hope that anyone at Crystal Palace is watching them, because some of these players I'm talking about, we need to get them in. As a striker, he's never really been very prolific, not really had that well of a goal return. However, that is the type of striker that Crystal Palace seem to go for some reason. Someone that doesn't really seem to score the goals, but they will give 100%. Sort of similar to Ayew, where he will play 100% and do everything that he needs to do. But unfortunately, being prolific in the box and outside of the box just doesn't seem to be his speciality. However, in the season so far in the Championship, he's had 2 appearances and 2 goals, both from the bench. So he hasn't started in any games so far, but it's very interesting and very good to see what he can do in a slightly lower league. So maybe that's giving him some confidence. Adams has been linked with a move back to the Premier League, and Crystal Palace and Everton are the front runners. Crystal Palace are looking to offer him exactly double his wages to bring him back to the Premier League. And if there's any incentive to come back to the Premier League, it's doubling your wages. So let's get into some stats and see if he'll be good for us. In the Premier League last season, he had 23 starts in 28 total appearances, scoring 5 goals and getting 4 assists, registering 1.7 shots per 90 and 0.5 of those being on target. 11 big chances missed in the whole season, which shows he's getting into good positions, but unfortunately, he's not finishing his dinner. Potentially with a new club, new confidence, maybe he could start putting some of those goals away, and then potentially you're looking at a 15-goal striker there, and that is a very decent return. With 3 big chances created and getting 3 assists shows that every chance he's created has been scored. With 0.9 key passes per 90, 68% pass accuracy throughout the whole season. To be fair, that is very low, even for a striker, but he did play in a Southampton team where he didn't really have that much to help him up front, so that is understandable. He was fouled 1 time per 90, which show that, when he has the ball at his feet, he's very strong, and that is probably one of his main attributes with his dribbling, that he's very hard to muscle off of the ball. Only 1 yellow card last season, and shockingly, this is a player that's not very injury prone. Only 1 game missed in his whole pro career, and that was purely because of a head injury, and during COVID, he had COVID for 4 days, I believe. So that is outstanding for Crystal Palace to not look at someone that's got this insane injury crisis waiting to happen. However, with Che Adams being worth about £20 million according to Transfermarkt and SofaScore, Palace are looking to offer around £10 million for his signature because he's only got 1 year left on his deal at Southampton, as he's been there for about 4 years by now. They bought him for £15 million, and I think that they take the £10 million because if they don't sell him, he's going to go for free. With the £10 million price tag on Che Adams' head, this is all bearing in mind of a potential sale of Michael Olise, and it looks like we don't have the money to afford someone like Che Adams if we don't sell someone like Michael Olise. Honestly, I'd love to keep Olise, and I'd probably keep Olise over getting Che Adams and toughing out another year with Edouard and Mateta. However, that might not be how things are going to go. As I said earlier, only Everton are the other team interested in Che Adams, but I think that we need to go get him at all costs if he is probably one of our only striking options that we're looking at, because I think Edouard and Che Adams is a lot better than Edouard and Mateta, as Che Adams, as I said earlier, slightly different kind of player, and potentially he could be that different kind of player, very fast, very strong on the ball, and for a £10 million asking price, it's not really too bad to get someone that's got loads of Premier League experience. Is still only 27, so it's not too old. But guys, please put in the comments, who would you rather have, Che Adams or Matheus Nascimento? I think they'll both be good signings, but if I'm going to choose out of the two, I'd probably spend the extra £5 on Nascimento. In previous years, it was the Wilfried Zaha saga, and now it seems like the Michael Olise saga has started and has ended already. This has got to be one of the most complicated release clauses ever, and I don't know what to believe in the release clause, really, because we've been told one thing by one person, such as Darren Ambrose saying it's not there, and then other people, such as Fabrizio Romano, saying it is there. But with his current injury, I was going to say that I think it's given us another year with him, because the season we bought him, Matt Woosman has said that he's released an article that's basically said that there is a release clause of £35 million, but all of the incentives heavily benefit Crystal Palace. And obviously that's a good thing, because if we sell him, we want him to bring us as much financial wealth as possible. However, we probably wouldn't sign Michael Olise without that release clause, without that guarantee that he's going to go and do bigger and better things. However, the talk is that Parish is refusing to give Chelsea and Man City any information about his injury and his recovery. But that sort of is just there to help our chances of keeping him, and unfortunately I don't think it's working, because Michael Olise is posting videos now on his socials of him running around, getting fit, and the theory crafters, such as me and Rich, in the car on the way home from Sheffield, are saying maybe he's posting all this stuff to actually get around Parish not telling Chelsea and Man City how he's getting on. Maybe it's just there for everyone in the public, for example, Chelsea and Man City, just so he is actually a lot further along his recovery journey than originally thought.
Psych! Breaking news! Palace wins and Chelsea loses. But not on the pitch. We've got Olise, and they don't. For more years. We've got 4 more years of Olise.
But guys, thank you very much for watching. Please put in the comments below who you want to cover next week. I am JC from Eagle Eyed Football. Please keep up to date with the channel, and as always, up the palace. Eagles!